Hello, folks. Another episode of Burning Platform. In the enterprise world, we talk about suites. Everything, the suite always wins. But in reality, suites have been difficult to sell and very difficult to implement. So it's rare that you hear of a runaway success like Zoho One has been. It's a real pleasure to have Raju back, and we're going to talk about the fifth anniversary of Zoho One. Raju, thanks for taking the time.
No, thank you for having me on here, Vinnie.
5 years. Let's talk about how the idea came together, how it's become successful, what challenges you've had. Let's explore the 5-year journey. So let's start with you're very modest. You usually don't take credit, but I bet you this was your idea.
Actually, it was not. It was Sridhar. One morning, he came and running to the office and said, that was probably 2015 or so. Hey, here's a crazy idea. And when Sridhar himself thinks it's crazy, it must be crazy. He came in and said, what if we charge people $1 per day for no matter how many apps they use? And doesn't matter how many apps they use, or doesn't matter how long you use, because in SaaS, typically say it's based on your usage, but really it's not based on the usage. You're paid high price and whatnot. And we've been brainstorming on how we can charge based on the usage, and can we charge $1 only on the days you use. So out of say 30 days, maybe let's say use 20 working days, and that'll be $20. And all you need to do is maybe use an app. So what if they use apps only 5 days in a month? Then they'll be paying $5 a month. That was how it got started. And then we got into a discussion on how would we price it. It's going to get confusing. It's going to get all over the place. What is the usage? Does accessing your email on a mail client come under usage? Then it kind of got into that situation and said, what is the maximum? Maximum is $30 or 30 days, $1 a day is $30. So why don't you just max it out and say $30, use everything? That is a simpler model than daily usage and monitoring and whatnot, rationing, all of that. We're trying to eliminate rationing altogether and keep it really, really simple. And that was how the original idea came about, on bundling as much as we can and making it really simple when it comes to licensing and offering it a very attractive price. And then that's how it kind of rolled. And of course, then we took on the project of convincing everyone internally and putting this thing together.
So was there anyone hostile to the concept? I'm surprised you didn't tell them, Sridhar, that's crazy. Just don't waste my time. Did anyone on the management team push back and say, we're giving away the shop here?
There's some pushback, and there is obviously some back and forth that went on. That's why when the idea came in about 2015, it was really launched in 2017. Sridhar pursues that on a regular basis and keeps convincing. And finally in 2017, I think everyone's on board and said, let's do it.
He wore you guys down and won. But he does that, right? I mean, he's been persistent over the course of Zoho. So that's great. Talk a little bit about the 5-year journey. Talk about the trajectory. Just share some numbers.
Numbers are challenging, but certainly in terms of customer base, we now have over 50,000 customers. And this is a significant number if you consider the fact that these are businesses that are chosen to run their business, almost entire business on Zoho One. These are 50,000 businesses. Now, the smallest business is as small as, say, a single solopreneur. The largest company I think I know of is using over 40,000 users. It is still one among those 50,000 customers. The beauty is the size of the customer using Zoho One keeps on increasing. And the way I thought a lot of people will adopt Zoho One upfront. I was pleasantly surprised when they were starting with a single product and then like a CRM typically, and then move on to a CRM plus, which is a CX bundle, and then move to Zoho One. And it's mostly psychological at their comfort level and whatnot. They got comfortable using our products. They like what they see, and then upgrade to the next level and upgrade to the next level. May start with a 10 user count, then go to 100, and then go to 1,000, and that's a typical cycle. But that upgrade path, uh, is very common. But occasionally, we are also seeing a lot of people directly jumping on Zoho One, and the demographics as well as the regional aspects of it come into play.
So, how many apps is it now? The bundle is what, 50 apps?
Roughly around 50, somewhere between 45 and 50. I lost count myself. We started with 30, 35. We kept on adding several apps.
So how do you decide what to bundle? This is almost like Amazon Prime, right? You started off with shipping, and they've added so many free streaming shows and all that. How do you decide what to bundle in Zoho One and what to keep separate?
End of the day, it's a judgment call, Vinnie. I think there are some say it doesn't make sense for us to add. For example, does it make sense to add tools we have created for agencies and others? We don't include those. Do we include an event management platform? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe we include it as an add-on. Do we include, let's say, usage-based things by default, like a telephony system? Including a telephony app is easy, but it is priced based on the usage, how many minutes you use on the system. But in the Zoho One model, it may not always fit. So based on the models, it varies. There are some apps that are user-based, like a CRM app. There are some apps that are licensed for an entire organization, like an accounting app. And then there are usage-based. So when you have a lot of these different kinds of usage, kinds of business models, and we are trying to move it to a Zoho One model, it's challenging. So we basically pick and choose the ones that make sense for a typical business and try to include it.
So, I kicked it off by saying, in the enterprise world, people like to talk about suites, salespeople in particular, right? One big sale, real nice. Reality is, companies bought the first generation ERP or bought the first generation CRM and have not upgraded to newer versions, right? Suites are very difficult to manage, implement. It's a systems integrated dream, but they're very difficult to manage. Why have you been successful where a lot of the enterprise vendors struggle with at least first convincing customers, and second, then keeping them on the path?
I think for us, they adopted the additional applications because the integration is already in place. Typically it's the other way around. You buy multiple applications and try to integrate them. There's a lot of implementation work in there. In this case, what you're expecting is already in there. That introduces you to that new application. So Zoho One started with, I think, about 10 applications was the average number of apps that businesses using. Now it's over 20. And how did they discover the additional 10 applications? They were just discovering because contextually that new application was integrated. And then they realized, hey, this is what I'm looking for. Why am I paying for some other applications that is not even integrated in here? And that's how adoption keeps growing. It's self-discovery. We don't do a massive sales push, or we just help businesses out and figure out. There are some customers who started in 2017, 5 years back, and onboarding is still going on for Zoho One customers. They're typically onboard during the first few months, but then the 25th app is being onboarded, 5th year into it. I'm pretty sure that'll keep going for the next 5 years too. It's a customer discovering that app and recognizing the value and then opting to adopt it.
That's integration is a great point. Quite often when the big suites will try to say, hey, this is included. It may have been an acquisition. It may have been a, developed by the team that didn't integrate it to the core and so on. Profile a couple of customers. You said the average usage is about 20. So I imagine some of them are using 30, 35. Some of them are only using 2, but 2 over 20,000 users, right? So tell me, how do you profile a couple of customers and how do you deal with them from a support perspective differently?
If you look at someone like, say, like the roughly 40,000 user customer like IAFL is in the financial space, a public company. They started with a single app, CRM, and eventually, after a couple of years, they moved to CRM Plus. And then they discovered some of our marketing applications, expanded there. The last set of applications I think they were migrating from was email. Email, it's tough to migrate email. I mean, they're still, haven't adopted all, but that analytics is a critical application that they've adopted. And that adoption cycle actually took several years in there. Now, during the course, onboarding that particular customer, working with them closely and making sure that they're successful is an ongoing task. And it'll continue to be the case. These are larger conglomerates, larger organizations that are there that needed some help. And one of the bigger help that they needed is transitioning from their existing technology base, moving their data and applications to the Zoho platform. But then there are some cutting edge or latest or smaller companies, relatively smaller companies. Maybe we're talking about 100 users or whatnot. They adopt these products by themselves. They don't need a lot of help. They are getting started on the platform and they are just jumping all in right from the get-go. In that case, the adoption cycle is much quicker. They go to market really quick. And that is one trend we are noticing where some companies without a lot of baggage are able to move to these platforms much quicker than the ones who have some entrance systems.
Any particular, you guys keep growing globally quite a bit, especially in Africa, Middle East, so on, South America. Any particular geographies where Zoho One's been more successful than others?
I think it is globally, it has become a trend. If I had to pick some, I would say developing countries have seized on that. They see the opportunity where they are getting the next gen platform and they are allowing them to leapfrog. Like Latin America, for example, Middle East and Africa really stand out, where the growth is maybe a few percentage points or maybe 10+ percentage point above some of the other regions out there. Developing countries, just like we have seen this in other areas where countries that did not have landlines directly jumped on to the mobile bandwagon. Now, the same way, companies that did not have installed software jumped onto the web software bandwagon. So similarly, companies that did not have a lot of individual apps are jumping onto the suites and the platforms which come integrated. We are seeing that trend, and the developing countries are the ones that are taking advantage of it. And also there is a mobile component to it. And Zoho One, we don't stress this enough, but there is apart from the 35, 40 app or 45+ apps, it comes with 50+ mobile apps too. And mobile apps become a driving factor in these developing countries as well.
I think the point you made earlier that if you don't have legacy, it's a lot easier to move to this. And certainly in the emerging market, that's probably even more true. So what's next for the Zoho One? Are you starting to get customers saying, hey, how about this app? Are you looking at, I know your ecosystem is growing. Are you thinking about partner apps? So what's next?
I would say expanding on a few areas. Obviously, Zoho One is built on the applications themselves. And as the applications improve and get better, the Zoho One itself gets better. For example, take something like Zoho Books or accounting suite. It supported our 13th country as of 2 weeks back, that is Kenya. Zoho Books Kenya edition launch in Africa. And then next month, we'll be launching one more. And that means Zoho One automatically inherits that capability. So as individual apps improve, Zoho One improves. And the direction we are going is unification, where you'll you will not notice where one application begins or ends and another application begins. So while we say 35, 45 applications, you will not be able to tell the difference between one app and the other. So there's a wholesome unification that is a theme, and that will be the theme for the next, at least for the next couple of years. So it'll feel like one, that is Zoho One as one app, and all the power is powered by the 50 apps that are in the platform.
Fantastic. Well, any final thoughts? I mean, this has been a remarkable success story. Look forward to hearing about this every year.
Yeah, certainly. We are excited about what's ahead. I think we certainly, when we said we want to build an operating system for business, and 5 years back, it wasn't picked up really well. Now, good to see a lot of companies going down this path, and it's good to see the momentum. And I think we will continue to lead the way on this. I think there's a market. There's customers are looking forward to it. So we will keep investing on it. I'm excited about what's ahead.
Well, again, you were very modest not to take credit in the beginning. Maybe you can take credit for the next 5 years, Raju. Always a pleasure. Thank you for taking the time.
Thanks a lot, Vinnie.